We want them to be engaging and fun for the kids first and foremost, because we know when kids are having fun, they're learning. We want them to be easy to use for the teacher, like really straightforward and easy to use. We know teachers are time poor. We have been there, done that. We want them to be versatile for all the different learners in your classroom, especially to be able to differentiate and really cater for all of those different needs in your classroom. Welcome to Rainbow Skies for Teachers, the go-to show dedicated to teachers who want to make a big difference in education. Whether you're in your first few years or well into your teaching career, we are here to inspire, support, and empower you with bite-sized tips, simple strategies, and the motivation to lead an education revolution, one classroom at a time.
We're Ashley and Alicia from Rainbow Sky Creations, two Aussie teachers who love all things teaching and learning. We are here to help you thrive as you work toward making an impact in your students' lives while loving your life as a teacher.
We are here to help you bring joy, simplicity, and creativity into your classroom on the daily, because
there are rainbows ahead, my friend, and together we're unstoppable.
Let's get into today's episode.
Rainbow Sky Creations acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we record this podcast on, the Dharawal and Whadjuk Noongar people. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rainbow Skies for Teachers. Today we're here to talk about freebies.
Who doesn't love a freebie that adds value to your life? Like it's saving you time, give me inspiration.
And it doesn't cost you anything to give it a try.
This is true. And look, in the teacher space, there are so many resources out there. Like it's a saturated market. There is so many. And what we really just want to do for you today, and anyone who's checking in and listening to us, is just share with you resources that we know have added great value to our classroom. Like we're talking about resources that we use year after year and that kids tell us how much they enjoy them. And we see those educational gains in their concepts and learning and understanding. So we promise you value in this episode.
We definitely promise you value. There are so many resources out there, like you said, Alicia, but not all of them are created equal. And I know when I was a teacher in the classroom, some of the things I created are definitely not things that I would share with the teaching community because they're not rigorous enough, or they don't have differentiation options, or they don't really cater towards a wide range of classrooms. But when we're talking about creating resources, we're always looking for 5 key factors. We want them to be engaging and fun for the kids first and foremost, because we know when kids are having fun, they're learning. We want them to be easy to use for the teacher, like really straightforward and easy to use. We know teachers are time poor. We have been there, done that. We want them to be versatile for all the different learners in your classroom, especially to be able to differentiate and really cater for all of those different needs in your classroom. We want your kids to be able to work on these resources independently, so be able to teach them how to use them and then go off and be in charge of their own learning. I used to always say that in my grade 3 and 4 classes. I need my students to be responsible for their own learning. And then the final thing, which Alicia and I are so passionate about, is being able to reuse them. And when we first started Rainbow Sky, we used to talk about recycling resources, like reusing and recycling resources. And we just mean by that, reusing them over and over throughout the year or year after year after year. And hopefully some of these freebies will be able to help you achieve those 5 things that we really focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to start with the month of January. Like this episode is coming out in February, but this is still relevant for anyone in the Northern Hemisphere, this resource, when it comes to back to school time. Do you want to tell us about it, Ash? It's one of your favorites.
It's one of my favorites because I created it on a plane coming home from my cousin's wedding. I was a bridesmaid, 39 years old. It was last year. And I felt like, oh, am I a little bit old to be a bridesmaid? So I was going up with all sorts of feelings. I was exhausted coming home on the plane. I'd left my 3 kids at home with my in-laws. So I was super excited to see them. And then this stroke of genius just came over me and I created this class names Find a Word. So basically it's an editable resource where you put your students' names into a Find a Word grid and then you fill it all with the rest of the letters. And the kids use it as an icebreaker activity or a class community building activity. It's great because they love seeing their own names. They love seeing each other's names. When I created it, I used all of my cousins' names from the people at the wedding. So if you go onto our Instagram grid and have a look at some of the photos, you will see they are all people in my family, the names on that class finder word grid. But it's just a really great activity. And if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and you're thinking, well, this is not the start of the school year for me, this is something that you could do on a Friday afternoon. It's something that you could do after a little break. You could save it for August for back to school. It's really one you could do all year round, just for a bit of fun.
Imagine doing it at the end of the year. And there are some teachers there who are just notorious for nicknaming the students in their classroom. So you could do a nickname version of this, right?
Yes. I love that idea.
It wasn't quite my jam, but yeah, you can think creatively with this one. And who doesn't love a word search? I am a sucker for a word search, especially on a plane as well, waiting to catch flight somewhere.
There you go. We've been doing Taylor Swift word searches here at my house recently, and we've all been loving it, kids and adults alike.
Nothing like some Tay-Tay to add a bit of spice to your day.
Exactly right. Okay, let's move on to February. Now, this is a freebie that you are going to be able to use it all year round.
Yes, it's place value charts. Probably the one area we always start with maths is making sure that students have an understanding of the value of the numbers of our base 10 system. So a really great way to teach that to students. And look, we're even talking your year 3, especially I should say year 4, 5, and even some of year 6s is using place value maths or having a visual there where they're actually able to manipulate blocks or MABs where they can make values of numbers. Because once you've got the visual there, it makes it easier to transfer that into the abstract with the numbers and the symbols. So I always started my year, especially with my year 3s, would play place value games. They would love it. Once they'd got the concept of trading in for their 1s for 10s, their 10s for 100s, and their 100s for 1000s, I'd then add in a place value chart just to create that visual there to work with their abstract. So there's so many ways to use this, from the little ones to the big ones.
Absolutely. And we're not a huge advocates for laminating a lot of things anymore in our classrooms. But these are the sort of things that you would laminate and just have ready to go, that the kids can just grab them and use them, or you could pop them in their little maths packs. They are really handy to have. You know what, Alicia? What we didn't say at the very beginning of this episode, which I think is probably one of the most important things that we should have said, was that all of these freebies will be linked in the show notes. So if you're thinking, I want that freebie, they're all linked in the show notes.
Yes. And a little tip I was going to say about the laminating, that you get 2 different place value charts and you laminate them back to back. So you might have kids who are using the 1s through to 100s, but some who are already working from 1s through to 10s of thousands, you just have them on the back. So you're getting 2 for the price of 1 with your laminating sheet.
That is a brilliant idea. I've always done back-to-back laminating, but never with place value charts.
Sometimes the blank comes in handy because it's like a little whiteboard on the back. So you can get use out of both of them. So don't fret.
Love it. Okay, let's move on to our March freebie.
Yes, this is for our lovely early year teachers because it falls under our 5 pillars, because it is a hands-on maths game and it's a friends to 10 spinner game. It's a fun and simple activity where it helps your students build their number bond fluency, because we know how important it is for them to know their number bonds, because it will help them as they move through the higher order numbers with their addition, with subtraction, with so many factors. So it's a fun game where all you need is some counters and a spinner or a pencil and paper clip, and they spin it around and they practice their number bonds to 10. And if you've got kids who love to use their fingers, we got to remember that hands are a tool as well. They can be using their hands as well, along with the 10 frame, to help understand the different numbers or pairs of numbers that make friends of 10.
Yeah, that is a great one. And again, it's just one you can continually use in your rotations or for fast finisher activities. Now, if you teach older students, we have got a fluency game for you for the month of March, and that is our famous Flip It multiplication game. This is a game that has been loved and used and downloaded by teachers all over the world. And we just continually get amazing feedback because it's kids using that hands-on experience, but they're practicing their times tables. And we know as teachers, we've done episodes on this before, it's really frustrating when they don't know their times tables. And it's one of those things that they just have to practice. It's not that fun just to be saying the times tables over and over again. This Flip It game is a fun way to do it. All you need is some counters, a deck of cards, and our templates, and you are good to go. So Flip It and times it. That will be linked in the show notes too.
Yeah, if you've got competitive kids in your class, they will love this game. They will beg you to play this game. I'm just getting flashbacks to my classes that were predominantly with boys, and they were just like, Miss, can we play that game? I'm like, I know what you want. Yep, sure. Go get your pack of cards. Here you go. Off you go.
So good.
Now for April, we've decided to do something aligned with a event that happens in Australia and NZ, New Zealand. We commemorate Anzac Day, which happens on the 25th of April. I know teachers are time poor, and when a special event arises, wherever you are in the world, it can feel like an extra pressure to incorporate something into the classroom that relates to that theme. We just made a really simple, once again, we love a good word search, but it just delves into that rich vocabulary. You pair it up with a book or a text about it. We've even got in our shop some different, I think Ash made these really great hats.
Oh, yeah, the slouch hats.
The slouch hats, and we have a PowerPoint slide that goes along with it. And that alone, with something with some rich vocabulary and allows for a discussion, and you incorporate a chit chat, a good half an hour, is a really great way for you to cover that theme for the year. You don't have to delve any further into that. If you want to, great. But this freebie is just a nice one to do if you're feeling like things are getting a bit pressured with trying to fit in all that magical teaching.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better than that, Alicia. It's so true. There's so much that we have to do and that we have to get done, but it's also important to reflect and remember these important events. So they are great ideas for Anzac Day. All right, so moving on to the month of May. This one is for everyone, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what grade you teach. And I think it's one of our most favorite freebies that we have ever made. Would you agree with that, Alicia?
Yeah, we have thousands of teachers around the world who have taken advantage of this awesome freebie. Oh, still to this day, it's been out there for years. Like we're talking like 7 years or so now, Ash. And we just constantly have this flow of teachers who just find this resource and love it. And this is probably one where we go above and beyond on the versatility of it and how you can reuse it in so many different ways. The number of the day activity. It's a great way to start at the beginning of the year. You allow students to have some control and autonomy over it by choosing the number they generate. And it allows you to see how good students are at manipulating numbers, how good they are at adding on 10, taking away 10. Is it an odd and even number? Can they even round the number up to the nearest 100? And how does it look on a number line? And can you make a visual representation of it or put it into a pattern? There are so many ways to manipulate numbers, and kids love this one because they get to do exactly that.
Yeah, and teachers love it too because it's easily differentiated. As Alicia said, the kids can choose their own number to generate. You can use dice or cards or ask them to pick a number between one and another, or you can get everyone to be working on the same number. You can be getting kids to work on, some kids might be working on 2-digit numbers, and you might have other kids in your class working on 4-digit numbers, and still they can complete the same activity a number of the day just according to the number that they're working on. So it's a really good one. We've got a free copy that teachers absolutely love, and then we're sure that once you use it once, you're going to want to use it over and over again. And then we've got a big package of all different ones where we've mixed up the skills too, so it's not always the same.
Yeah. And we've got ones catering for the early year teachers who are just looking at those teen numbers. Look, just a heads up, if you do photocopy them, like you want to photocopy 3 class sets because
Yeah.
the kids just go through them. You've got the kids who will like do 5 before a kid's finished one sometimes. They just love them so much. We always have some tips on how to use them without destroying the photocopying machine and eating up all the paper.
Yeah, other teachers actually, lots of teachers on socials, when they post about doing number of the day, they just put them in those write and wipe sleeves. So
Yeah.
it's got one copy in those write and wipe sleeves, and the kids use a marker to complete it, and then they rub it out and do it again. And that's another really good environmentally friendly way to do this activity.
Love a good number of the day. Make sure you go get your copy. So we're up to, that's May. Now we're up to June. Oh,
Yes. We couldn't talk about freebies without throwing in one to do with growth mindset, because we are huge advocates of growing and strengthening that brain muscle.
yes. I'm going to tell you a little story about my darling 4-year-old Lena. She is currently in a bit of a phase where listening isn't her strong suit. She's very strong. She knows what she wants, my darling girl. And we've been working on listening, and we've been working on celebrating the wins. She is such a huge lover of encouragement. If she gets any forms of accolade, she just soaks it up and she just wants to be the best that she can be. And it was just the other night, I was chatting to our youngest Olive, and I was like, Olive, I really love your listening today. And Lena looks at me and pipes up. She goes, but Mum, what about my listening? Has my listening been good? I'm like, you have been an awesome communicator today, Lena. Like, you've been getting great eye contact. You've been listening to others. And she just looking at me going, yes. And I just went, you know what? Growth mindset right there. That kid just needs a little colored card with a little statement to say, you rocked it today. And that's exactly what this freebie is all about.
Yes, so they're little cards that you can give to the students. They can stick them in their book next to the work that they've done. They could take them home and show a parent. They can collect them. We love to photocopy them onto colored paper just to make them that little bit more exciting. But we've included a few different phrases so you can mix them up. They are really great way just to really talk about that growth mindset language too. And a good way to identify when students are using those growth mindset skills, being able to talk about it and how it feels. So it encourages them to continue with having those growth mindsets because it's not easy, especially when you're learning things for the first time. As adults, when we're learning things, we can find it really frustrating. Actually, I was listening to this great TikTok, I think it was yesterday, and she was talking about the learning journey. It was a parenting coach, I think. Anyway, she was saying when you're learning something, you feel quite frustrated, but that is a sign that you're learning, even though you're having that negative feeling. And then once that negative feeling's over, you're feeling great because you learnt that new skill. So within the learning process comes some not so good feelings and then some great feelings. I feel like that was a way tangent that I've gone off, but anyway.
You're going to feel a bit uncomfortable before you feel like you nailed it. And
Exactly.
we made sure that the statements we use were very open-ended. I challenged myself today. So it allows the student to actually explain to whomever they're talking to what it was. So it could be for any subject, for any teacher, for, gosh, anything that happened in the day, whether the kid was struggling to brush their teeth or tie their shoelace, whatever it might be. You could be using these at home and in the classroom. It's just a really nice way to let kids know that their beautiful brain muscle is growing and it can change and you can keep working on it. And that's a good thing.
Exactly. Now we're moving on to July, which is a time that we know most Northern Hemisphere friends are on summer break. So if that is you, amazing. We're jealous because we're probably sitting here in Australia shivering in the cold. So we made this freebie for July more of an Australian freebie. And it's all about making $1. Now, you could use this in the US as well, but we've got a version with coins, Australian coins, and we've got a version just with the amounts of money. Basically, you cut up these little cards that have different amounts on them, 80 cents, 20 cents, 90 cents, 30 cents, or the coins. You stick them on building blocks, and then the kids have to make $1 by putting the building blocks together. Have I explained that well, Alicia?
Yeah. So you could get kids to build blocks on top of blocks. They start with 100 cents and then they go, 70 and 30 make 100. And then they might go, 90 and 10 make 100. And they could see all the different ways they can pair it up. It's just a really great way, aligning back with what we talked about with our friends of 10, that importance of knowing those number bonds and patterns that make up to 100 cents or $1 in this case, if we're looking at money. So it's just a really fun one. And who doesn't love building and blocks?
Yeah, and it's open-ended because one child might only be able to get 50 cents and 50 cents makes $1. But then you might have another one that knows that 5 20s make $1. And then another one that says, okay, I've got 50 cents, 2 20s and a 10. And they'll be learning from each other, but there's lots of combinations.
Yeah, that's the great thing about it, isn't it? There's many different ways to get to the same answer. And that's what I personally love about maths. And it can really take that analogy into life, that there's not just one way of getting to that destination. There's lots of different ways, and not one way is just the right way. But anyway.
No, absolutely. I
bit of
feel like
luck.
that is our story here at Rainbow Sky, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, then we're going into August, where our beautiful Northern Hemisphere people are heading to school, and this is a great one. And then us down here in Australia are starting to feel like our kids have forgotten how to be kind to each other. So this is where we brought in How to Be a Bucket Filler. Now, there's that really iconic book, How to Be a Bucket Filler, that I'm sure many teachers have read at some point in their teaching career. And it's just a really nice activity that we've got where students celebrate those in the classroom. So a really easy way to do it is you can give each student a paper bag, or they can make their own bag. You can be creative. You can give them a paper cup, whatever it might be. And we've got little slips with words on it like, you are really clever at, and they're writing it for their peers. And hey, make one for yourself, because everybody needs their bucket filled. The students can pop messages for you. You can make sure you pop messages in for the students. And we've also created a nice display that comes with this activity. So you can put the buckets up and put up the display as well.
Yeah, and it's really scaffolded. Sometimes it's hard for younger students, especially, to know how to give a compliment or how to tell somebody something that they like about them. So we've created this scaffold so that they've got those sentence starters to really help them with that process. I love this activity. It's one that we created so long ago now, but it's always a fan favorite.
Yeah. And the display is kind people fill buckets. And we all have days where our buckets are being depleted. And this is just a really nice one to let kids know that they're being seen, that what they do matters and that they are valued. And I think everyone, no matter how old you are, needs a little bit of this in the year.
They sure do. You know what would be really lovely? If you created just little paper bags for every teacher in the school and put it up in your staff room and everyone could fill each other's buckets.
Yeah, I feel like especially the specialist teachers, I feel like sometimes I know they do a lot and there's a difference between classroom teachers and specialist teachers. But I think sometimes specialist teachers don't always get that little accolades from all the kids. And it'd be nice for your principal or your deputy, and you get some of the kids to just write messages to those teachers who don't always get as much as what I feel classroom teachers can get. But you never know. They're teaching the whole class, the whole school, some of them. So they're probably inundated with love.
You don't know. So I really like that idea. September.
One of our favourite authors, isn't it? It's his birthday.
Exactly. Roald Dahl's birthday in September. So we had to create a freebie to celebrate that fantastic author. I actually have a wonderful friend that I've been friends with since the beginning of high school. So I've known her for a really long time. And we see eye to eye on most things, but she does not like Roald Dahl as an author.
Is it all his gobbledygooky vocabulary? They're not real words.
Yeah, I think she thinks it's a little bit silly, but she's also like great fun. So I said to her, it's just a bit of fun. She's, no, I don't like them. And her daughter, who is 10, she also doesn't like them. But I think they're far and few between. They're great books.
They are. And if you're feeling like you need justification to bring a Roald Dahl book out, September is your excuse. Bring out Roald Dahl, do a novel study, the BFG, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, whatever it might be. We've got a fun little set of activities that you can use that align with Book Week or as independent student activity, a little research project, novel study, whatever it might be. We've got you covered with this freebie.
Yeah, it's a great freebie. So if you need something to celebrate Roald Dahl's birthday or just an excuse to celebrate him as an author, that is a freebie there. You don't even have to just use it in September. You could use it any time of the year.
Yay, good to know.
All right, October, of course, is the month of Halloween, so we had to give you a Halloween freebie.
Yes, we've got some spooky number of the day. So as we talked earlier about our number of the day, we've made a modified version with a Halloween theme. And these are great little slips you can just print off and students can complete in independent activities, a lesson warm-up. You might want to do it as a quick revision, whatever it might be. It's just a fun little way to recap over numbers. And then we've got a history of Halloween, fun little interactive book that your students can do, and you can read the history of Halloween together, a little research reading passage, and they can write down the things that they learned or discovered that they didn't know about Halloween, because I still feel like I still don't know what Halloween's all about sometimes. I just forget every year.
Even though you wrote about that history of Halloween.
I know.
But it was a long time ago now.
It falls out of my brain every now and then. But yeah, it's not all about the sweets and the trick-or-treating. There's a bit of history there. So yeah, if you want something to engage your students or fill some time, it's a good little lesson.
How I see these two freebies is if you are short on time and you think, oh, we just don't celebrate Halloween in our classroom. I don't know if I really did as a teacher either, but they would be great to include in rotation. So if you're doing maths rotations and group work, then a spooky number of the day, you can just pop that in as a little activity. The kids are going to be super excited about it because they love all things Halloween. You can use it during the whole month of October and they're still learning and they're engaged. And then the same with the history of Halloween task. You could add that into a reading group rotation, that they're doing that activity while you're reading with another group, etc. And it's just getting that buy-in from the kids because it's something that they're thinking about, talking about, excited about.
Yeah, that's right. You got to sometimes think like a 9-year-old, which is hard to do when you're getting old.
Yes.
Oh, and then that moves us on to November. And did you know that November is when you celebrate World Kindness Day on the 13th of November? I'm all about pirate days and all the other days, donut days, but World Kindness Day definitely has a special place in our heart at Rainbow Sky Creations.
It's a goodie.
You got to tell us about this one, Ash, because this was your brainchild.
Yes, I'm just actually looking at the photo on our website, and that is a house I lived in 2 houses ago. And I remember taking that photo, and it was one of the best photos I'd taken for Rainbow Sky at the time. And actually, it's still not too bad.
That's a good one.
Anyway, they are tearaway flyers. So they've got a little kind quote at the top, and then down the bottom, they've got little slips that the kids can tear off and then go and do the kind little thing on that slip. So it might be lend a friend a pencil, carry something for a teacher, smile at somebody. They're just little random acts of kindness. And not only are the kids going to be starting to do these acts of kindness in your classroom or around your school community, it gives them ideas of how they can actually just show kindness without it needing to be a really big thing.
Yeah.
Going back to talking about this is where I used to live, there was a bakery up the road from my house, and it was opposite a school. And one of the teachers at the school had obviously found this free resource from Rainbow Sky and printed it out, and they pinned them up around the school, but they also put it at the bakery as well. And it was just so beautiful because I went in to get our baked treats with my little ones at the time, and I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is bringing a tear to my eye. But that's not the first time that we've heard that people have actually gotten these flyers and put them out into the actual community as well, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, because life is busy and there's so many things on our plates. And just something like this is a circuit breaker and just brings you back into the present moment and go, oh, yeah, like kindness, like a smile or saying hello can go a long way and can really change the trajectory of someone who might be having a bad day. These are really powerful resources. Like it's a real great freebie. I love it. It's my favorite too.
We actually have a Christmas version as well. So we'll make sure that one's linked in the show notes because we are talking about November now. So yes, Kindness Day. But if you think I want to carry on this kindness through Christmas, and we're huge advocates of kindness at Christmas, we have a Christmas version that you can pop up in your classroom or your school as well.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of Christmas and kindness.
Oh, this is a popular one. The Kris Kringle Christmas tree, the kindness tree. Instead of getting everyone to draw a name out of their hat to buy someone a present, you have to catch that person doing a kind act. That's what I love.
Yes. So not only is everyone going around doing kind things for the person that they chose, but they're watching each other and calling out those kind things, which is amazing. We have this little template that's triangles that will actually like form into a Christmas tree too. So you can pin it up with all of the kind things that your class are doing for each other.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to have the biggest, kindest Christmas tree in the whole school? So, yeah, your kids can really run with this one. Like, you actually might have to curtail it and go, okay, I think we're wrapping it up now. The Christmas tree is as big as the classroom. But it's just a really nice one. So, kids can get really fixated on themselves. That egocentricness can really come out, especially if you're teaching those year 3, 4 students. It's just a nice way of them not to just look internally at themselves and how they benefit, but looking at how others are helping and supporting and just making the world a nicer place. So it's a really great one. Celebrate others.
It sure is. And then our final freebie for the month of December is Christmas creative thinking prompts. We've got a pack for kindergarten to grade 2 and for grade 3 to grade 6. And they're just creative ideas, not your normal Christmas activities, something just a little bit outside the box that your kids will enjoy doing, but still keeps them thinking. Because look, we're all for Christmas activities, we're all for crafts and all of that fun stuff. But it's important to keep our kids thinking and using those brains of theirs.
Yeah, look, this is a must have in definitely the last week of school. If you're just like, you've actually been really proactive, you packed up your classroom and then you're like, oh my gosh, what are my kids going to do? These are great activities. It keeps them thinking, it keeps them discussing, engaging, and using all the skills that they've learned throughout the year. A real winner in all the classes I've had over the years with these activities.
Yeah, me too. So that is a wrap. 12 freebies, one for each month of the year. I'm just going to very quickly go through them. We had the class names find a word, the place value mats, the friends to 10 spinner games, or the multiplication flip it game for fluency. We had the Anzac Day word search, number of the day template, growth mindset in action cards, making $1 hands-on activity, how to be a bucket filler activity, the Roald Dahl activities to celebrate his birthday in the month of September, Halloween number of the day, and or the history of Halloween reading task, the kindness flyers. We've got the normal version and the Christmas version. And then finally, in the month of December, the kindness Kris Kringle task and our creative thinking Christmas prompts.
Grab the one that you would like. It's all linked in the show notes. And really, we just can't wait for you to hear about how much you've enjoyed any of these activities in your classroom. Hit us up on the socials or just reply to one of our emails. We love to have a chat.
We sure do. We are going to be back in your ears next week. But until then,
there are rainbows ahead, my friend.
And together, we're unstoppable.